the vaccine is completely gone from your body within days, leaving your immune system stronger and ready for action if COVID-19 comes near you.
When the mRNA COVID-19 vaccine enters your body, it provides a set of coded instructions to create copies of what are called spike proteins. As soon as the spike protein has been made, the vaccine breaks down and it disappears.
The genetic code is like a recipe the body can use to make a version of the virus's spike protein. Once our cells make this protein, our immune system responds to it, learning how to fight the virus without us actually getting sick. The spike protein breaks down quickly and doesn't stay in our body.
As soon as your cells are done with the vaccine, they destroy it. It does not stick around in your body.
When the vaccine is administered into the muscle in your arm, it's fairly quickly metabolized and leaves your body.
The vaccine's taken up at the injection site. It doesn't actually diffuse throughout the body.
As soon as they've done their job and that antibody response has been generated, that fragment is excreted from the cell and there's no way at all it can affect the body's normal DNA.
And then once these things are taken up, they disintegrate, they are recycled, for example. So after over a period of days, hours to days actually, that what was injected really ceases to exist.
Yeah.
And as Helen was explaining, it's a single dose that's put in your arm and then quickly your body clears it away.
You know, when Helen was talking just before, I went, oh, okay, that's cool. So they inject this stuff and they inject the RNA into your arm. They kind of wrap it up in a little thing to protect it. And basically, within, hours to days, that thing is gone because it's like they just put something in your arm temporarily that makes your immune system go, hang on, something going on over there. And then it starts making stuff to help us. So that, I hadn't ever kind of heard it explained like that, and now I kind of get it. It's like, okay, they put a thing in, it's wrapped in a thing. Your immune system.
There's a lot of water. There's a lot of it is actually water, isn't it, Helen?
Yeah,
it's going in there.
And it makes stuff, and then it disappears.
What happens is the vaccine itself, and this is the case with the Pfizer vaccine, the vaccine goes in and then it's completely degraded in the body within a few days. It is not there anymore. You cannot find any trace of it anymore because your body has dealt with it and degraded it.
Nothing is left behind from the vaccine. Our body breaks down the mRNA and there is no possibility of the vaccine affecting our body's DNA. Find out more at covid19.govt.nz/vaccines.
When that mRNA enters the cells of a human, as it entered mine last Friday, the immune system of the human says, hello, hello, we got something here, I don't like this. I'm going to generate a response to destroy it. And the immune system learns to destroy those spike proteins. Now, within a few days, all of the mRNA that came in the vaccine is gone. The spike proteins that your cells produced upon receiving the mRNA have been destroyed by your immune system. The only thing that remains is a memory in one's immune system of what it's like to fight something that looks like COVID-19. And if COVID-19 spike proteins do appear in your body, your immune system's ready to fight it. And I actually think that's pretty cool. But it also shows that you have absolutely nothing to fear because all you're left with is the memory of how to fight it. I just asked the good doctors on the other side of the house if that's roughly what happens. And they say, yes, that's actually a pretty good description.
Now, we want to discuss this document here. This is from the TGA, the Therapeutic Goods Administration in Australia, which authorises therapeutics. And I think it's clear to emphasise that the Therapeutics Goods Administration in Australia had all this information prior to authorising the vaccines, the COVID vaccines, that this was known about. And we do know that the data shows here, I've got this page here, that the systemic distribution is quite stunning. We were initially told that this just stays in the deltoid muscle, But here we see that the vaccine's actually been found in adipose tissue, adrenal glands, bladder, bone marrow, brain, eyes, heart, injection site, kidneys, large intestine, liver, lungs, basically all over the body. So they knew about this systemic distribution, that was there and that was known about. And the other thing, we were told that the vaccine the mRNA would only stay there for a short period of time. But then we read from page 4 that there was actually no degradation data.
That's exactly right.
We're not told how quickly it would go away. Really quite incredible.
Yeah. So two big issues there. So some of the pushback I've had from the TGA in regards to that distribution is they're saying it's at levels that's not toxic to the body in the other cells. Yeah. In the other body organs. Now, that may be true after 2 days, but the question is, why did they stop it after 2 days when the level of concentration in those organs was still increasing? I would have thought you would run the trial long enough so that the actual lipids and the mRNA and the spike protein was actually had left the body.
We were told that the mRNA will break down in a short period of time, but here it's saying that simply was not studied. So at the time this vaccine was approved, people simply didn't know how long it would last for.
So again, how long does this stay in the body? So we started to see some research, and here's one of the pieces of research early on: blood distribution of SARS-CoV-2 lipid nanoparticle mRNA vaccines in humans. So it looks at how long this lipid nanoparticle and the mRNA is in the blood, and it says both the vaccine mRNA and the ionizable lipid peaked in the blood 1 to 2 days post-vaccination. The vaccine mRNA was detectable and quantifiable up to 14 to 15 days post-vaccination in 37% of subjects. So, I mean, you're looking at clearly less than a month. They're saying this lipid nanoparticle mRNA, they're clearly found together. Without that lipid nanoparticle, the mRNA is not going to survive. So where you find one, typically you find the other. And it only stays in the body. We found it 37% of people for about 14 to 15 days, and then the rest of it's over with. Well, now we get into the new research. And so we have what's called a rare syndrome. This is what is the title of this headline. Researchers describe rare syndrome after COVID vaccine. What kind of rare syndrome? Well, we go to Yale researchers and we'll go to the study that they're actually quoting here. And it says immunological and antigenic signatures associated with chronic illnesses after COVID-19 vaccination. So that's interesting because chronic illnesses, long COVID, chronic illness, right. At some point, we're seeing the official merge of this. It's maybe the same thing, some caused by maybe the illness, some caused by the vaccine, but very similar on the outcome on the back end. So we go into this study and it says a small fraction of the population reports a chronic debilitating condition after COVID-19 vaccination, often referred to as post-vaccination syndrome, PVS. Serological evidence of recent Epstein-Barr virus reactivation was observed more frequently in the post-vaccination syndrome participants. So they're having a reactivation of these dormant illnesses. Further, individuals with PVS exhibited elevated levels of circulating spike protein compared to healthy controls. That's a huge clue. Most notably, we found elevated levels of spike, S1 and full-length spike, not just the fragments, the full length, in circulation up to 709 days after vaccination among a subset with post-vaccination syndrome, even in those with no evidence of detectable SARS-CoV-2 infection.
Wow.
This is bombshell.
After over a period of days, hours to days actually, that what was injected really ceases to exist.
Yeah. So yeah, now we're talking 2 years. At first it was a month, and we kept saying, as we've been reporting on this, it looks like the spike protein is lasting as long as the study that looks at it, right? It was first 3 months, then we looked at a 6-month study, still here, a 1 year study, still here. Now 709 days in, I guess, still there, still producing spike protein. So this virus manufacturing plant, or more specifically a spike protein manufacturing plant, at least in those people that are finding like illness, this long COVID, scenario that we're listening to, is just, does anyone know how to shut it off? I mean, it's terrifying, really.
Right.
And you so brilliantly started out with these scientists going, well, we don't really know. We know we're getting an immune response, or we think it's just a couple of days. Well, what if it's not a couple of days? And what happens now that you've done no long-term safety trials, and so everybody got this thing, and as it turns out, it's like years your body is making this. Really horrifying.
The vaccine goes in, and then it's completely degraded in the body within a few days. It is not there anymore.
Remember, the messenger RNA can't live in the body just free floating, so it has to be in that lipid nanoparticle. And once that lipid nanoparticle gets into the cell, it delivers the message, and that's it. The spike protein is produced and its job's done. So all of that is over. So what's producing these? Because the spike protein is not going to be floating around in the body, just hanging out, because the immune system will find that. So why is there spike protein full length? What's going on here? And so we saw studies early on in 2020, 2021 that's showing this. These are tabletop exercises, but this is 2021. Reverse transcribed SARS-CoV-2 RNA can integrate into the genome of cultured human cells and can be expressed into patient-derived tissues. So is this what's happening? Has this integrated into the DNA where we no longer need the vaccine now? And literally our DNA is telling our body to continually express and produce these proteins. I mean, there's a lot of evidence early on that might have been the case. And in this Yale study where that spike protein was hanging out for 709 days, they noticed that people that had that reactivated virus post-vaccination syndrome had lower T cells. These are the signaling cells of your immune system. Well, there's also evidence of this. This is a study titled T cell exhaustion during persistent viral infections. So this is obviously a hypothesis, but is this spike proteins just being produced forevermore, and the immune system is just trying to grab it and grab it and grab it, and you're now getting tired because it can't stop fighting it because it's just continually coming?
I mean, what you're saying there, and I want to put out that this is just a hypothesis right now. What we're talking about is something that a lot of scientists are looking at. This is very troubling, but this hypothesis is that what you're saying is that this beautiful little shell, this fatty lipid that protected the mRNA so it could get to the cell, we know that gets dissolved once it's entered the cells. So anything else out in the body should be being killed by the immune system and not continuing to recreate or go to other cells, because it can't get there without being attacked by the immune system unless somehow some of this mRNA reverse transcriptase, say that word again?
Reverse transcriptase. It's
reverse transcriptase writes itself into your DNA. Now, basically, the Bible code of your body is telling cells, teaching cells, or creating cells that make spike protein as a part of their existence. Is it possible that we have mutated the human beings that are experiencing this so that their bodies will create spike protein the rest of their existence? And then the big question is, what happens if they have kids? Are they going to pass that on, germline transfer? Are you going to see their kids? Did we just create an entire species that now just pumps out spike protein all day, every day, the rest of their lives for centuries to come?
The vaccine is completely gone from your body within days.
And what's going to be the health of those people? Again, a hypothesis, but a terrifying one in a space where we don't have an explanation otherwise why you're seeing this last so long in so many people. This is what happens when all I can say is this is what happens when you mess with nature, when you rush a product onto the market and giggle about how little you know about it and then tell everyone to get it. I hope to get to the bottom of this, and someone's going to have to figure out, how do you pry, if it's possible, how do you pry something back out of your DNA if it's made a mistake? If we've inserted a mistake into your DNA?
There's no way at all it can affect the body's normal DNA.